Ramadan Mubarak, everyone, and welcome to our special Ramadan Explainer. I'm Mir Ali Shah. Tonight, we're diving into Juzz 2 of the Quran. And this part, it's all about building something huge, something profound, really the architecture of a moral community. So if you remember from our last session, in the first Juzz, everything was intensely personal, right? It was all about the state of your individual heart. But now, the Quran kind of zooms out and asks this much, much bigger question. It's not just about you anymore, it's about us. What are we actually building together? And this right here is the fundamental shift we see in these pages. I mean, this is the moment where that private, personal faith starts to take public shape. Suddenly rules emerge, authority gets tested, and sacrifice becomes very, very real. Belief is now being asked to build an entire world.
So the Juzz kicks off with one of the most significant and, pretty controversial moments in early Islamic history, the change of the Qibla, the direction of prayer. This was the first great test of the community's allegiance.
Okay, so on the surface, this looks like just a geographic shift, right? Moving from praying towards Jerusalem to praying towards Mecca. But in reality, it was a profound civilizational statement. It was like the community was being weaned off an inherited sense of identity and recentered on something pure, the direct surrender of Prophet Abraham himself.
And get this, the Quran calls it out before it even happens. It literally quotes what the doubters and the foolish are going to say. So the test wasn't really about the logic of geography, was it? No. It was a test of trust versus ego. Could they obey a command, even when it seemed totally strange to everyone on the outside? And this is where we get to the core principle being laid down here. Identity in this new community isn't about clinging to the past, being nostalgic for what's familiar. It's about a living, breathing obedience to divine wisdom right here and right now. Okay, so how do you shape this new obedient identity? Well, once the community's direction is set, the Quran starts to introduce the structures to form it. And these are the big ones, the foundational laws of fasting, charity, justice, and even finance. Now, it's so important to get this right. Law in the Quran isn't about restriction just for the sake of it. It's about moral formation. Think of it this way. Fasting isn't a punishment. It's designed to discipline your appetite. The laws of justice, or qisas, they aren't just about raw vengeance. They're about disciplining that urge into a just, fair system. Every single law is like a tool for calibrating the soul. And then you get to charity, and wow, just listen to the incredible language the Quran uses. It asks, who will lend Allah a goodly loan? Just pause and think about that for a second. The creator of the entire universe is inviting us to give as if he were the one in need. This is so much deeper than just money. It's a profound divine teaching tool. And by framing it like that, the Quran shows us what the real target of charity is. The inner disease being treated isn't only the poverty of the person receiving it. It's the possessiveness of the person giving it. It's like a form of spiritual surgery on that illusion we have that we truly own anything. All right, so the community has its new direction, it has its laws for moral calibration, but how do all these abstract principles hold up under real-world pressure? Well, they get put to the ultimate test right away in the story of Talut, or Saul, and his battle against the giant Jalut, who you might know as Goliath. So when Talut is appointed as their leader, the people immediately object. Why? Well, their criterion for a leader is wealth and status, but Allah's criterion, it's completely different. It's about knowledge and capability. This is just a radical redefinition of what makes a real leader. And this new kind of leadership is immediately put to a test of discipline. Before the big battle, the army gets to a river, and they're super thirsty. Talut gives a command. Do not drink from it, except for maybe a single handful. Now, look at this. The vast majority, they just gave in to their immediate desire. It was only that tiny, disciplined group that passed this crucial test. And that's the whole point, isn't it? The crucial takeaway is that victory in the Quranic worldview doesn't come from having the most soldiers or the most wealth or the most power. It comes from inner discipline, moral integrity, and obedience to principled leadership. It was the few who passed the test, who actually secured the victory. And this brings us right back home to the deep, personal meaning of this Juzz for you and me. That river, it wasn't just a historical event. It's a metaphor for the daily tests of discipline we all face.
The laws aren't just for society out there. They are a form of spiritual surgery, a moral calibration for our own selves.
I mean, think about the pattern here. It's like a series of precise surgical strikes. Fasting, it directly confronts our most basic physical appetites.
Charity goes right after our deep-seated attachment to wealth, our greed. And that first command, the one to change direction, well, that confronts the biggest obstacle of them all, our own defiant ego. You know, in our modern world, we're often really suspicious of rules and discipline. We see them as restrictions on our freedom. But this Juzz teaches us such a timeless truth. A life without any moral structure doesn't actually lead to freedom. It leads to becoming a slave to our every whim and impulse.
So, as we reflect on this Juzz during these Ramadan nights, let's really make it personal. How can we apply these profound lessons on building a moral community, but starting with the community of our own soul? So tonight, maybe after your prayers, just take a quiet moment with these questions you see here and be really honest with yourself. Where do I resist structure? Which divine command feels heavy to me and why? And really, what attachment is the hardest for me to loosen?
And then, let's try to turn that reflection into action. Don't just go through the motions of fasting tomorrow. Do it with the real intention of calibrating your soul. Give a charity that you actually feel, something that's maybe a little uncomfortable. And when you pray, don't just ask for an easy life. Make dua for the moral courage to handle a meaningful one.
And this brings us to the final, really powerful takeaway of Juzz 2. The question the Quran is asking is no longer just, do you believe? It's something far deeper. It's this. Can you be trusted with responsibility? Belief, that's the starting point. But character, that's the real test. Are you the kind of person who can actually be entrusted with moral weight?
And so with that we ask, O Allah, during this blessed month, please shape us, discipline us, and guide us. Make us into people who don't run from responsibility, but who are worthy of it. O Allah, make us among those who can be entrusted with building a moral and a just world. Ameen. Thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive into Juzz 2. This has been a Ramadan special from the Living the Wisdom of the Quran podcast by me, Mir Ali Shah. We humbly ask Allah for acceptance and, of course, for forgiveness for any errors, especially any mispronunciations from our AI systems. May your fasts and your prayers be blessed. Peace be with you.